Hi everyone, I'm Carol Keller, an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Illinois in the United States, and I have today 5 alternative cards to this month's paper pumpkin kit, which is called Time for Cake. 4 of them actually use the components from just one card, so instead of getting 3 cards, you can get 12, so I'm very excited about that. And if you use the kit with the alternatives that I have designed, then you can make a total of 21 cards, with actually 2 of the 3 cards being made the way they come in the kit. And still you would have enough for 15 more cards. I hope you like them. Please let me know in the comments which one is your favorite. The comments really mean a lot to me, so I would love to know which ones you like and if you like the cards. All right, let's get started. Here is a quick look at the kit called Time for Cake. It comes with a Night of Navy ink spot, and these are the cards. Very cute if you make them the way they are designed. Remember, always, always, always to check to make sure you have everything on the back, and contact Stampin' Up! If you don't, and they will send you what you need. And remember too that there's a set of dies that coordinate with the kit. They're called Every Celebration dies, and they look like that. We're going to be using that Hooray one today, which is the one that coordinates with this kit. And of course they've started including the stamp sets, and I always put the month and year so that I can catalog them. And I actually learned that the idea of this is to fold it in half and seal up 2 sides and stick your stamps in there as a holder. But I'm going to still do what I've been doing, which is using them to catalog what I have. It's really come in handy already. We are going to be using a stamp from a previous kit, from the April kit, and I'm able to quickly just go through them and know what's there and see if there's anything that works, which in this case it does. So I'm going to continue to use it as a catalog of what paper pumpkin stamps I have so that I can use them. But I did learn that the idea is that you fold it in half and seal up the 2 sides and put the stamps in. So if you want to do that, you can do that too. All right, let's get started with the projects. This is the first card that I designed, and I decided I wanted to do a gift card holder. So you can put a gift card right in there. Isn't that cute? And it is similar to a gift card holder that I did back on a previous kit. I can't remember exactly which one. I think January's maybe. It might have been January's. I love doing a gift card holder, especially when you know it's birthday cards. I think that just makes sense. So that's what we're going to do for today. The design is a little bit different from that because I used the DSP here and then a whole, the same size here as here. And so this is a little bit different because we have the inside, the white showing, but we're going to do some embossing and stamping and make it look pretty. Doesn't that look good? Little copper embossing. I love the accents here, the copper foil accents, and of course the trim. So that's what I did with this card. All right, let's get started. So I have a 4 1/4 by 11 sheet of cardstock, and this is pretty in pink, and we're going to score it. And we're going to score it at 2 1/2 and 5 1/2. So we're going to get that cutting blade out of the way. And 2 1/2 and 5 1/2. And so what happens is we're going to fold it in like this. That's where our gift card's going to be. And then this is going to be the front. So, but before we do that, we're going to bring in the card base. So from the card base to make this card, and then there's another piece that's the actual card base, or I should say, I guess the elements. Whoops, it's upside down. The elements from this card, I'm going to use to make 4 cards. So this is the first of them. And so we need a section that's 2 1/2 inches and a section that's 1 inch. So if you look, I believe this one is 2 1/2 inches, and this one is actually 1 1/2. So we're going to cut off that 1 inch piece here, and then this one, and those are going to be used for the first card. So we'll bring that back in. So again, 1 inch And we are going to cut off that candle, and you'll end up with 3 of them. And I did not use them to on any card because I just had the one so far, but I feel like that's in my future is to do that. And so again, 2.5. So there may be actually, I did 6 cards for today. There may actually be a 7th, but we'll see if I get that done. And we're going to save this, like I said, for the other 3 cards. So if I get that done, I will post another video. And this actually is an extra right now, like I said. I'll post another video if I get it done. Okay, so we need this then is going to go here and this here. Oops, and we need one more. That's right. We need the inside piece. Let me bring that back in. And that is, I forgot to measure, so we'll do that right now. I thought I had everything all written out. 2 inches. And so I used 2 inches off of this. So let's do that. Again, with the trimmer, we'll bring it in and take off 2 inches. So you're just using, basically cutting off the card from the left side. And then, like I said, we'll use that for other cards. Okay. I also have cut some mats for those cards. And so they are 2 3/4 inches, whoops, by 4, and this one is then 1 1/4 inch by 4, so that we can mat. Oh, actually, and there's one more piece. These, and then we have one that's 2 1/4 inches by 4, and so then we will mount those using some Stampin' Seal. All right, so we've got all those mounted, and actually we're gonna close that again. Okay, so we are going to mount those. So the small one just goes on the end like this. Medium-sized one goes here. And then this one on the front. Okay, and so then the next thing we're going to do is take our 1 3/4 inch circle punch, and we're going to punch out a section here so you can slide the gift card in. Oh, that's right. And what I did too was mark the center just so I would be able to center the punch. So this is 4 1/4, so we need 2 1/8. So if we're at 4, we need to go to 6 1/8, and this is quarter, so it's right here. Put just a little mark, and so then I know that's where the middle should be. And it doesn't have to be exact, but it gives you then a way of determining that. And it's a lot of layers, so just keep that in mind. You got to press a little bit harder. And now I'm going to grab my tear and tape. And there's some from a previous kit that you might have left over, but if you don't, you can always purchase it from Stampin' Up. And so we're going to put tear and tape on the sides because we want it to be nice and strong and stay closed so that the gift card will go in and out easily, but not open up this section. I'm going to put it right toward the edge, and I'm grabbing my Take Your Pick tool. And then we'll close it and burnish so that adhesive catches and is nice and strong on both sides. And so now you can slip a gift card in easily, and that part is all set. We also will have a section on the inside that is 4 inches by 4 inches, section of basic white. So 4 inches by 4 inches, and it fits right in there. But we are going to do some stamping and some embossing on this, so we're not going to put it inside yet. And then I've cut from an envelope with my stylish shapes dies. I believe it's the second largest die, but one that will, you know, be seated right here to cover up some of that inside, but also not take away from everything. And it's a beautiful size for the banner. Like, I didn't want it to be too big, and so that's what I mean. I didn't want to cover up too much of the candles, but I love this. And we're going to use the banners from the kit, and we're going to stamp Happy Birthday in Moody Mauve, so we'll do that next. And the stamp is curved just a little bit to fit right in there, which is nice. And there's another one that says Celebrate that is also curved and will fit in here. And I really forgot to say, although you could see in the insert from the kit, that there are 2 sets. There's an extra set this month that has numbers, and you could do so like first birthday or third. And so I did use this banner. I didn't use the numbers, but I'm going to show you on, I believe it's the next card, how you can add the numbers in for a specific birthday. But I did use this stamp along with most of these in the cards. All right, so we've got our Happy Birthday for the front. And so for the inside, I did Make a Wish, and I did that in, well, actually, you know what, before we do that, let's see, we'll do the candles. So I'm going to leave that handy. We're going to bring in Pecan Pie though. We'll do the large candle first, and I did that in Pecan Pie because it coordinates. It's one of the coordinating colors, which, as you know, are always listed with the kit. And I just turned it at an angle, so it doesn't matter if it's too straight, if the cardstock is straight, because we're turning it at an angle anyway. Then I did one of the stamps, the next tallest one, in the Moody Mauve. So we're going to get rid of that Pecan Pie. And we'll stamp in Moody Mauve, the next candle. Then finally the smallest one will be in Pretty in Pink. And this time, when I did the first ones, I just stamped them, and then, well, I think I am going to do that. There's overlap then with what we're going to do next with the embossing, but actually I like it. So I'm going to tilt this one this way a little bit, because then we're going to emboss, and you'll see that in a minute. But before we do that, we're going to stamp one more thing, and that's the sentiment on the inside, and that's in Night of Navy. So Make a Wish. And we're going to stamp that right up here on this side because we don't want it to show. So I'm not going to center it, although it probably would not show. And we'll do it on this side just to make sure. And so that's all of our stamping with the regular inks, but we're going to bring in Versamark, and we've got the small light stamp. And so what we're going to do is ink that up really well. And we're going to stamp it for on each of the top of each of the candles. So you see it will overlap the candle, but I really like the look of that. And we're going to use our copper embossing powder to complete it, and we'll emboss that so then it coordinates with the rest. So I've got my embossing tray. You can see I've got a little bit left over in there of the copper from the first time that I did this, in that first card. Figured I'd clean it up all at once, but we're going to put our embossing powder right in there. Putting most of it back here. Give it a little flick. I'm going to put just a little more here. The rest looks good though. You want to make sure you have good coverage with your powder. Oh yeah. In fact, I'm going to put a little more here. That's nice and dark. That will give a good image. So we just have to make sure there's no stray powder. Let me grab my brush, and then we will, got a little piece there. Oh, maybe I won't get it. There it is. And so it looks pretty good other than that. Not much stray powder. We're going to move the powder out of the way, and I'm going to close it because we don't want any accidents when we emboss. And now I've got my heat tool, and I love it. The nice thing, I'm going to move everything else out of the way, but the nice thing about the heat tool, or about the glass mat, is that I can emboss on it. I can heat emboss on it, and it won't it won't bother it. All right, I do see a couple of little pieces. We want those out of the way, and we'll heat it. There's one stray piece I got there. Oh well, I've got a little extra copper piece, but the rest looks good. But I love it. I love it. Now we've got it that it coordinates, and it's so super easy, which is the best part. And so now we're just going to put that on the inside. Make sure there's no powder on here. Nope, pretty good. It stayed in the tray. So I'm going to grab my Stampin' Seal for that. And we're going to butt it right up against this. It's a little crooked. Try that again. All right, that's better. So our inside is done. And then all we have to do is put this on the front. We're gonna put some seal to put this on that square that we cut. And then the most important thing you have to remember is that we're gonna do this, so we only want adhesive on this side. If we put it on this side, we won't be able to open the card. So I'm gonna turn it upside down. And do this. And we'll center it here. And then our card opens. And then of course we need our beautiful copper twine or cord that comes with the kit. So I'm just going to tie a bow. And then snip the end. I'm going to grab my glue dots and we're going to put one on the back. So I'm kind of squeezing it as I'm picking it up because I don't want it to show. So I'm going to kind of curl it a little bit so it goes into the back and doesn't show, or at least doesn't show too much. We're going to put that right here. And then I'm going to trim the one tail. I hate cutting off even that little bit because I want to make sure I don't run out. I've been really judicious with my use of it because I want to have enough for all the cards. All right, last but not least is bling. I'm using my iridescent pearl basic jewels for that. So they are right here, and I'm going to grab my take your pick tool. I use the larger ones and just to fill in, and this obviously is a little different from the first one, but I'm just going to find 3. And you can punch 2 of these squares from one envelope. So I didn't show that, but I think you know how to do it. Open your envelope and yeah, we'll put it down here. Open your envelope and then just die cut so that you can get your 2 squares from that. And that is it. That is card number 1. Here's the second card I designed using another component from that same section of the first card. And so let me show you how I did that. I'm gonna bring in my trimmer again because we need a piece this time that's 4 inches wide. And if we just went from the crease over, it's only 3.5 inches. So we need to use that part on the other side of the crease, but I'm going to show you how we get rid of that. And then this will be used for another card, the next card. So to get rid of that crease, I'm just going to bring in my bone folder and work it back and forth on this side. And you can see it coming out as you're doing it. And it's less noticeable on this side just because I've already gotten rid of a lot of it, but you can see it a little bit. And then back to the front once more. And it's pretty much gone. Here you can see just a little bit at the edges, and even here a little bit too. I can't quite get rid of those, but I think it looks pretty good, and I don't think anyone's gonna notice. I'm gonna keep that bone folder handy because we are starting with a pretty and pink card base. And I'm gonna fold it and then use my bone folder on that. And I did also use my bone folder one last time on the first card to make sure to help it to lie flat. It was sticking up a little bit, and you'll see at the end now it's lying nice and flat. We're gonna put that on right away with multi-purpose liquid with Stampin' Seal. And then I've got a piece of Moody Mauve, and this is cut at 1 1/4 inches. Yes, 1 1/4 inches by 4. So that's gonna go here. But first we're gonna do some stamping. So this is where I used the stamp from a previous kit, from the April 24 kit, because I wanted a background. And so I'm gonna do that first. I'm gonna bring in Moody Mauve for that. And we're just gonna stamp it a few times, turning it back and forth just to create some confetti is what I think it looks like. So I think it's perfect for this card. And then let's see, we'll do a little bit. We'll do it this way, I think. And a little bit here too. Fill in all those spots. Oh, that looks good. And then I'm just gonna move this and clean up with my chamois. There's another mark over here. I love being able to do so much with this glass mat. All right, hopefully that's dry or close to dry. And let me see, I'm gonna make sure. We'll move it over here a little bit just in case and let that dry. Let me see, we're done with Moody Mauve. Oh no, we need it for the inside. So for the inside, I have a piece of basic white that is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. I'm gonna make sure I have the right piece, I do. And so I need the Moody Mauve because we're gonna stamp a candle here. So we'll do that. And then we will be done with Moody Mauve. We're gonna do that right here. And we're gonna use this same stamp for all 3 candles, so make sure you clean in between. I'll leave that here. And so I also we'll use the Night of Navy, and we're gonna use that on the front for the Make-A-Wish too. So we'll bring in Night of Navy. You wanna ink it up, but you wanna make sure it's not too inked, so that it shows those beautiful flowers. And clean in between and bring it back. And then we're gonna stamp Make-A-Wish again on the front like we did on, well, we're gonna stamp Make-A-Wish like we did on the last card. And we're gonna move it over here because we want room for that hooray. And I'll talk about that in a minute. And what else did we do on the inside? Oh, that's right, and we need the happy birthday. So I guess we'll do that first. I did it the opposite way, but I don't think it should matter. So while I've got the Night of Navy, I'm gonna stamp the happy birthday up at the top. And then last but not least, we have Pretty in Pink. I'm gonna stamp the last candle. And then we're gonna use that stamp from the second set, like I said. And I forgot to turn my camera on, but I used the banner stamp from the second set in Pretty in Pink and just stamped it right over the happy birthday. And you can stamp the banner first or the words first, it doesn't matter. And then that is all of our stamping. So now we're just gonna put it together. I'm gonna use my seal to put everything on the card, the other components here. All right, so now we're going to add, I have die cut the word hooray from that die set, like I said, that is a companion to the July, August, and September kits. So I've die cut that, but first, before I did, I put an adhesive sheet on the back so we can just peel and stick. Just kind of let the die cut, because it wants to move around. Just kind of straighten where you need to. Sometimes if you let it fall, it falls naturally, but if it doesn't, you can move it around and then burnish it to make sure that it adheres to the card. And then all we have left is a little bit of bling. And for that, I'm using the Adhesive-Backed Sparkle Gems and my Take Your Pick tool. And I just used the large ones that are, I believe they're considered champagne colored, and just put it on a few of the candles, on 3 of them, to add a little sparkle, a little more sparkle to the card. And then that is it. That is card number 2. And again, see how it's popping up? We can just use the bone folder. Since we opened it and worked on the inside, we can use the bone folder and just flatten it again. And again, you can hardly see that crease in there. You can hardly tell. Unless you're really looking for it, you won't see it. All right, so that is card number 2. And I forgot about the envelope. So all I did was take the Make-A-Wish stamp and stamp it on the front in Night of Navy, because we don't want naked envelopes. And so then it pairs nicely with that card, since it says Make-A-Wish on the front. And let me show you what I did too on the envelope for the first card. And so for the first card, all I did was take that Happy Birthday stamp and stamp that in Night of Navy on the front of the card. Whoops. See if I can fix that. Ooh, a little shadow, but not too bad. A little bit of a halo. So do a better job than I did. Don't rush it. But this is for the first card for 2 of them, because you can make 3 from the kit, but you will have one of the original envelopes left, one of these, because you only need 2 of them to get your 3 die cuts. So you could use this for one of the cards, but then for the other 2, this is what I did. So here is card number 3, and we are using, of course, this last section of the card. And so it's also a fun fold, and I'll show you how we did it. So let's move this aside, and we'll move this aside for a sec. I have a piece of, just like with the first card, a piece of Pretty in Pink cardstock that's 4 1/4 by 11, and we're gonna score it in the middle at 5 1/2. Just like we normally do. But then we're going to cut it. And because this piece is 3 1/2 inches, we need to cut off 3 3/4 inches. We're going to bring this over to 3 3/4. Oops, that's the scoring blade we need to cut. And that's perfect. And we're just going to cut a piece off here too, but that's what we need. This is still the base of our card, and it's going to go like this. Whoops, this will be the front. And then for this, actually, let me grab my trimmer again. I believe we just need to take off 1/4 inch. Yeah. And then that makes it square. Or excuse me, that makes it the perfect mat size for this piece, which is what we want. So we're not going to put that together yet, because as you can see, we're going to use some of our trim. But first we're going to stamp, so that's a later step. We also have, let's bring in the other components, a piece for the inside that is 4 by 5 1/4. That's going to sit in here. But then I also cut another piece from that envelope. So the envelope we used for the first card, you know, don't throw it away. We're going to use it because it's going to go right here. And so that is cut at 4 inches by 1/2 inch. So we're going to save that too, because we're going to do our stamping, because there's some stamping on the inside. And maybe we'll do that first. Well, maybe we'll do the balloons first, because I decided I was going to change this up a little bit. I actually added the balloons because I took this piece up because it was crooked, and there was, when I put it back down, there was a crease and I needed to cover it up. But when I did that, I decided that it made more sense to put the balloons at the top and then the Celebrate underneath. So that's what we're going to do. And so I think we'll also stamp the opposite way with the dark one at the top. So let me show you what I mean. So we'll do the balloons first. There are 2 different balloons that come in the set, and we're doing them in 3 different colors. So we're going to bring in the Moody Mauve first, and we'll do all of our Moody Mauve stamping, starting with that balloon, because we're going to put it at the top. So I've got the one with the flowers, and we're going to put that right at the top, like this. And then while we have the Moody Mauve, we're going to take the Celebrate stamp, and we're going to stamp it kind of in the middle still. So we may have shorter strings for the balloon, but I definitely wanted to show, and I know that this is going to probably interfere a little bit. We can adjust that too once we stamp and see where it is. So I think I want to put the dark at the top instead of at the bottom like we did here. So, and all I did to do that was stamp it once, twice, 3 times without re-inking. And so then there's our Celebrate. And then for the inside, I did the same thing with Happy Birthday, and I am going to do it the opposite way. So I'm going to grab this and the Happy Birthday stamp, and I'll show you what I mean. And I kind of like that they're different. So we're going to stamp Happy Birthday and then go up once and twice without re-inking. So, and if you prefer it the other way, if you prefer it this way here, go for it. Just do whatever works for you. But that is it for our Moody Mauve and for the inside. So let's assemble that before we finish the rest of our stamping. We'll get that out of the way. So I've got my 1/2-inch strip, and we're going to put that on with just a little bit of a border on the bottom. Maybe, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch. I didn't really measure it. I actually did it so that there was a similar border top and bottom. So that's I ended up moving it to make it look like that. So this should hopefully work. And again, with our Stampin' Seal, put this on the inside, because the inside then is done. Okay, and then for the rest of our stamping, we're going to we will grab Pretty in Pink and the other balloon stamp from the kit. We're going to stamp it down here. And I will say, you do have to be careful. I was pretty much too much ink here, because you can see some of the dots here, and even here it's a little bit muddy. Here it's muddy the whole way, but for the blue, for the navy, it was clearer, and I think that's because the pad is a little bit juicier. So I'm going to clean that stamp. And my Night of Navy is probably not as juicy, and because of that you can see detail on the balloon a little better. So kind of keep that in mind, don't press too hard. Oops, and I just put my fingers in the ink. All right, so I clean up my fingers. It's just a little bit there, that shouldn't interfere. So again, if you have a juicy pad, use a very light touch. And even with this, I'm going to use, this is still pretty juicy, I'm going to use a light touch, but make sure it's got ink on it everywhere and evenly, which it does. And then this one is going to go here. And just by turning them at an angle, it makes them look a little different, which I love. A little trick there. And then I used we're done with this. I used my Moody Mauve marker to make the strings. So I just did, and I'll start here. And that's it for that. So that is all of our stamping, and we'll see how it looks, but I think it's going to look better like this. So now we're going to adhere it to our mat that we made from the card base. Oh, shoot. We didn't want to do that. I said before we adhered it, we had to put on the trim. So actually we're going to do that right now. I'm going to grab my glue dots, and if I need to, I'll use some glue to make sure that that's tacked down the way it's supposed to be. Let me grab the trim. Starting to unravel a little bit. And so I'm going to just take a glue dot. I want to use, like I said before, as little as possible so I have as much as, you know, for as many cards as possible. I don't want to run out. Whoops, get that back on here. There we go. And it's going to go around the back and toward the bottom, especially because I stamped that Celebrate. So toward the bottom like this. And then I'm going to measure what I need around the other side with just a little bit extra. Give that a snip. And grab another glue dot. Hopefully this one will stick to the trim and not my finger. There we go. And we're going to make it nice and tight across the front and around the back. Sorry that this is so awkward. Do this before you tack it to the card base or the mat. And now let's see, there's probably need just a tiny bit of glue, so I'm going to do that now before I forget, just to the edges, just to make sure that it's held into place. There we go. Let's hold that down for a sec. It's definitely the corners especially. We want to make sure they're nice and attached nicely to the bottom so that that trim doesn't come out. And I'm actually adding a little bit of glue by the trim as well, if I can get it to come out. Come on. It's toward the end. I need a new one. Oh, come on. Let me do this. That should do it. No. I hate doing it on my desktop, but I'm going to. All right. So there's some glue by the trim and by the edge of the corner so that it stays in there nice and tight and doesn't go anywhere. Okay, so now to make the little, I don't know, sparkler, I don't know what you want to call it, the glow from the candles. I have a couple of scraps that I actually cut off from from the bows, and I'm going to put a glue dot in the middle. And actually, you know what? I think I'm going to tie the one on first. So I need one more. So, oh, my trim's all coming out. Where's the end? I'm going to tie this on first, because that is what I did first for the other card, and that's probably easier. So I'm just gonna tie a knot, and you want to tie a square knot because you want to make sure that it stays. This trim is kind of slippery, and you don't want to have it come off. So we're gonna tie it one way and then the other way so that it's a square knot. There we go. And a little trim. So we've got our first two pieces. And actually I'll trim this one down just a smidge too. Doesn't matter if it overlaps the end because it's going to be still on the card, but I don't want it to be too long. And now we're going to take that piece with the glue dot and we're going to put it right behind that knot, like this, at a different angle. So whichever way your knot falls, you're going to do it a different way. So I'm doing it the opposite way. And then this one, same thing, we're going to put a glue dot in the middle. And it helps also to wrap that glue dot around the trim because Then it's going to adhere top and bottom. I'm going to lift this up because I know it's sticking to that one glue dot. We're going to put it in the middle. And so then that way it adheres all the way around. And so that's it. That's what I did to get that effect. And now we're going to adhere it to the card base. So again, you have to be careful. We want it centered about like that so that there is basically the same similar distance between top and bottom, and so that we can position it so that the edges are there's an equal amount of white space, or white cardstock in this case, on each side. So hopefully that makes sense. So what that means is we only want adhesive up here at the top. So I'm going to put a couple of rows of adhesive, and then that should be it, and that will help it to hold. And then we're going to do this. We're going to center it to each side and top and bottom. Let's turn it this way to help see if it's straight. I think that looks pretty good though. And then press it down. We want that adhesive again to adhere really well. Got a couple of little stray pieces there. Those off. And then last but not least, couple of things. We have a balloon that does come from the set, and I put that up here with some dimensionals, so I'm going to do that. There are minis that come with the kit, and I'm actually going to just use some regular dimensionals. You can use either one, of course. And I'm going to put it maybe a little bit higher. Let's see. But I felt like it needed something at the top, so that was my thinking, to just add a little bit there. Turn it maybe just a teeny bit. And then of course our bling, and we're using those beautiful Adhesive-Backed sparkle gems again. Again, you can see I need a new pack. I'm being, again, you know, careful. We're actually going to use some of the other ones on a future card because I knew I wouldn't have enough, because again, we're using the large ones because I think they work so nicely in the space that they're there for. Oops, I need some new putty. There we go. So again, we'll put them on a couple of them. You could certainly put them on all of the ones that show, because there are 5 that show, and odd numbers are what we usually try to do. So that is up to you. I'm just going to do 3 for now, just because I have so few left. When I get some more, I may add them, but for now, that's what we're going to do. And just like I said, we can grab the bone folder and give this one more go so that it lies flat, just like that. And there you have card number 3. Actually, I want to say a couple of things. Be aware that your knot that you have here, unless it's adhered to the little piece of trim underneath, it does move around since we tied it separately. So you do want to make sure everything is adhered together. And yeah, I guess that's it. And then just let me know in the comments which design you prefer. All right, next, card number 4. All right, I lied. One more thing, the envelope. For this one, I want to show you because I did something a little fancier. So I've got an envelope here. I've got that one stamp that we used in Moody Mauve here. I used it in Pretty in Pink just because I like that one the best. So I'm going to bring in Pretty in Pink. Obviously, you can use whichever one you would like. And we're going to put that about here. And I'm going to bring in that Happy Birthday stamp, especially since I haven't cleaned it yet. We're going to do it in Moody Mauve. So we'll bring that back in. Ink it up. And put it right about here. And for the string, I did the same thing as I did on the card, except this time I used Pretty in Pink. Got my Pretty in Pink Stampin' Right marker, and I forgot to say that earlier. You want your Stampin' Right marker, not your blends. And I'm just going to make a little string, and then the envelope is done. And then this time, card number 3 is finished. All right, here is card number 4, and it uses the last component from that one card, which is this, which is what you use for the actual card base. The rest is what you mount on top of it to make a fun fold, but like I said, I broke it all apart to make 4 cards instead of 1. So instead of getting 3 cards out of this, you get 12. So that is what we're going to use for this card, but we're not using it for the card base. We're starting with a basic white card base. And this time we are going to adhere it right away because we're not putting any ribbon or anything on. I always make sure that it's going to fit, because occasionally I find that the basic white card bases are a smidge too long or too wide, so I trim them down. So I always make sure it fits first. And we're going to put it on with some multi-purpose liquid glue, and this is a new one. So we don't have to worry about banging and it not coming out. So we're going to put some glue on the back. Thin little bead around the edges. It's nice and strong, so I know it's going to adhere well to the card front. Perfect. And for this, I used the Stitched Rectangles dies and one of the envelopes from the kit, and also the same thing from here. And I'm going to just add one little thing to this card that I didn't do on the other one. But I cut that already. This is, I think it's the second largest die from the Stitched Rectangles, and I'll show you that at the end. And so then I cut actually 2 pieces that are 1/4 of an inch wide and I think 5 1/4 inches long. Because I think that was, yeah, it's just under 5 1/4, and I think that's what I could get from the envelope. Let me see if I have my scrap handy so that I can show you. Yes, I do. You will need all 3 envelopes because the circle is so big. Here is one. The circle is so big that you can only get 1. And then I cut, this is what I cut from, or cut these from. So what you're gonna do is once you cut your circle out, you're gonna cut the white off from the right side, and then I could barely get a 3/4 of an inch, you know, depending on how close you get to this side. It might be just under 3/4 of an inch. So then that last one was just a tiny bit narrower than 1/4 of an inch. No one's going to know the difference, but you can get 3 then from one card base, and you're going to need 6. So you'll need to use 2 of the card bases for that. And then this was just what I got from the first card. So just to show you, and I had tried actually cutting for this card a cake out of the envelope from the Attention Shoppers stamp set, but it just didn't look like a cake, so I didn't do it. I ended up not doing that. And I will say I had very, very little left from the kit because I tried to make use of everything, or as much as I could. So let's see, we can actually put these on right away. So just make sure your flowers are facing up. Let's see here. I think it's this way. Yeah, that looks like it's right side up. And actually, I'm going to put this on the bottom first. And I'm just using my seal for that. You could use your liquid glue too, but I do prefer using my seal when I can, although I may have to take the adhesive off of my glass mat here. And so I'm going to put it down toward the bottom with pretty much an even space all the way around, or at least I hope that's what's going to happen here. Yeah. And then for the inside, I'm going to do the same thing, and I didn't do it on the first card because I thought of it too late, but we're going to do it right now so that we've got a little bit of continuity between the outside and the inside. And it makes a little bit less difference on the inside with these little strips if it's right side up, but hopefully I did the outside one that way because it's too hard to take off and turn. That's the problem with using the envelopes. They are very thin, so to take something up is much more difficult than when you're using cardstock. But yeah, I think it looks fine. And then I'll put this on also with the Stampin' Seal. put it this way with even spacing top and bottom, and obviously side to side. So the tag and the little candle come from the kit. So here they are, and we're going to stamp Make a Wish, and we're going to stamp it a Night of Navy. And we're going to stamp it a little bit over to the left side so that we have room for that candle. But if it's going to go off the edge a little bit, then that's fine too. Then while we have the blue, the navy, we're going to stamp It's Time for Cake on the inside. Because you can't have candles without having cake, right? And then because of that, we're going to actually stamp a cake. For this, I'm bringing in Boho Blue, because it doesn't list Boho Blue as one of the colors, and this isn't exactly Boho Blue, but it's very close. So I'm taking the cake from the Attention Shoppers stamp set. And this was the one that I tried to cut out, you know, without stamping or anything. Maybe if I had stamped it in black on the envelope, but I don't know. I think it still would have been hard to see. And so it was too hard to tell that it was a cake. So I didn't use it, but we'll do that on the inside and you'll see the difference. I think it looks better with that little strip. And like I said, I just thought of it too late. So our stamping is done. And we're gonna get some more of that wonderful hoarding that mine is all coming off of. And so I'm just taking a length, and actually I'm going to make it a little shorter than that. That one was kind of long. So just, I don't know, a couple of inches, not even. So doubled, you know, under 4 inches, maybe 3.5. And then we're going to feed it. And I might have done it the other way. I'm feeding it from the back to the front. Let's see, I can't remember. Oh no, maybe this was what I did. Because it looks a little bit different if you feed it from the back to the front versus the front to the back. But they both look good. But I like this look, so this is what I'm doing. And again, just pull it. And then it's ready to go. So for this, I'm using my dimensionals again. Just because with that trim there, then it's hard for it to lie flat, so I tend to pull. Let's see, we'll do this, I think. Use 6. It's hard to keep it flat, so it's better to just use dimensionals when you have some kind of trim or ribbon. Take the paper off. And I'm going to put it here. So I want it mostly on that center circle. And then for this, I use the glue dots that came with the kit, or that come with the kit. Put our glue dots on. And I just did one at each end. Take the paper off. And then this goes right here at an angle. And then all we need is our bling. Again, those wonderful Adhesive-Backed sparkle gems. And this time I'm going to use the smaller ones. One here and another one here, and then that is it for card number 4. And I'm going to quickly bring in what I used to make all 4 of them. So the extra products besides the ink pads, here is the Attention Shopper stamp set where we use the cake, and then the Spotlight on Nature dies, which we use, like I said, I used this one for this card, and we're going to use them again for another one of the other cards. And then on the first card, I used the Stylish Shapes dies. I used, I think it was, let me see, the largest or the second largest die. I think it was the second largest. Yes, second largest die. That's what I thought. And that is it for card number 4. And I forgot about the envelope, and for this envelope I simply stamped Happy Birthday in Night of Navy. stamped happy birthday in Night of Navy on the front. I do like this card because I love that it's make a wish, and then of course after you make your wish, it's time for cake. I hope you like it too. All right, card number 5 coming up. Here's card number 5. And so for this, we're using some different components, although we use the envelope again. And this comes from the card base that has the cake on it. And I really liked that card. I thought it was cute. And the card base, here is the front of the card, and here is the part we will be using this part of, but you can see I was going to use this for another card front, except it has that little part of the plate and I didn't think it was going to work. So instead we adapted it for this card. I actually used the Spotlight on Nature dies again to cut out this from the card. And this strip is also from one of the other card bases. I just cut it down. So it's 4 1/4 inches by 1/4 inch. And you need 3 of those to do all 3 cards, but you've got plenty you can see on here to use to get that. And then these cards I made just as they came, except mounted on a white card base, or I'm going to, I haven't done it yet, but I'm just gonna mount this on a basic white card base and then make the card as it comes in the kit because I thought it was really adorable. But this is the one we're going for right now, and it uses the other card base. So I cut these in half. And again, I assembled this card almost as it's shown. I'll show you at the end, almost as it's shown in the flyer, almost as it's meant to be made. And so I did, again, when I cut these off of the card base, when I cut the card base apart, I usually try to take my bone folder again and get that little fold, any remnants of it to disappear before I put it on the card front. And so I've got a basic white card front, like I said. I'll use the bone folder on that. Make sure that it's going to fit okay, which I actually checked it beforehand, so I know that it's pretty good. Actually, there's a little bit, but I think it's going to be all right. It's just a little bit crooked in the way it's folded, but I think that's going to work. So I'm going to grab my glue again. Ease that in a little bit. Yeah, that looks fine. And so I cut, like I said, this component from the card base and this from the envelope. So there was plenty left to use for that. And this is a 1/4 inch wide. This is a 1/2 inch wide, both by 4 1/4 inches. And then this piece comes from also that card base, and it is almost 3/4 inch wide. That's as wide as it is on the card. So you can see it's a little less than 3/4 inch, but that's the width of what it is on the card. I just cut it away from the card, and we're gonna smooth out. I had a little crinkly end. We'll smooth that out a little bit. And then we're gonna put these on the card front with some seal and leaving a little bit of an edge again for that card front to show. And we're going to butt that right up against the first one. And I don't know if you can see, but this actually went over the fold because that's the way I needed to cut it to get what I needed. But again, I smoothed it out and you won't see it. Here are, the circles that I cut from the Spotlight on Nature dies. And I just did 3 different sizes, obviously, but also 3 different designs just to add some interest. So this comes from the back of that card base. This is some Boho blue cardstock, and this is Petal pink cardstock. And then we're going to stamp, on here. We're going to stamp the word celebrate in Night of Navy. Right in the center. And then we're going to take the balloon again. Well, let's see, what did we do on the inside? Oh, that's right, we stamped Make-A-Wish on the inside. So we're going to do that while we have the Night of Navy. And then we'll do the cake. So again, I'm using Moody Mauve with that same cake that we used in the last card from Let's Go Shopping, or from Attention Shoppers. I keep wanting to call it that, Attention Shoppers. And so then that's our inside completed. And for the outside, we are going to stamp a balloon again in Moody Mauve. I used the one with the flowers. So again, we want to ink it, but whoops. Make sure that we can see those flowers. And we're going to ink it right over the words. Oh, I forget if I stamped off. I don't think I did. I think, oh, maybe I did. Let's do that. So I think it's going to be too dark. Yes, I stamped off. So I've got a little scrap. And we're going to stamp it once. And then without re-inking, we're going to stamp it over the Celebrate. Yes, that's what we did. And so you can see I got a good image because we can see the little dots in the center of the flowers. That's how you can tell you got a good image. And then that is all of our stamping. So we're going to put everything together with seal. And then I overlapped it here just a little. And in fact, I think I'm going to put I put the candles on first. Those are from the kit. And you will have just enough candles to do all of the cards that use them, even the multiples. We're going to bring in the glue dots again that come with the kit and put some on the back. And then take the paper off. And then we're going to place them on the card, starting on the right-hand side. And I move this one up so that they just were almost touching. And then the same thing with the last one. And now we'll put this on, because what I did was had it just meet, so this overlap just a little bit and tuck it underneath, and then just center it top and bottom. And then all we have left is bling. And so I am using the Adhesive-Backed Sparkle Gems. And if I had enough of these, I would use them, but I don't, as you can see. So I use the smaller of these, the clear ones. So they still add that sparkle. And then for the envelope, we're going to bring that cake in one more time and the Moody Mauve. And stamp it right here. And so card number 5 is now complete. All right, and I just wanted to show you, I actually really designed 5 cards because, as you can see, this is very similar to one of the cards from the kits. But I did not, I used the pink balloon on one of the other cards. So what I did was I took this balloon and I turned it over and I traced it on the back of the envelope and then cut it out, and I actually cut it around a little bit. I left a little bit of an edge so it would be just a little bit bigger than this one so that they'd be varied in size a little bit, but that's what I did. I just took the smaller balloon, or you could use the pink one if you haven't done your cards yet, but I used this one, and like I said, just turned the envelope over and traced it and cut it out, leaving a little bit of extra around the edge so that it was a tiny bit bigger. So that way you can still assemble this card as it comes in the kit or similar. And the only other difference is there's only one of these labels left. So how I got around that with that beautiful stamp that comes with the number set, I stamped it in Petal Pink, but I stamped off first. So I inked up my stamp, stamped off, and then stamped it. And then I stamped Happy Birthday in Night of Navy, and then I just cut it out. I fussy cut it. And so instead of this, you're left with this for the other 2 cards. So that way you can still make all 3 of those cards, plus the cake cards. And with my alternatives, with 12 from the first card, and then 3 more with half the card base, so that's 6 from these card bases, and then 3 from the other card base since we use the components. So you can still get, what is that, 9 and 12, 21 cards. So 21 cards from the kit, I believe that's right. So I'm going to bring everything in so that you can see it. So again, you get 3 of those cards, and 3 of these cards, 3 of these, 3 of these, 3 of these, and 3 of these. You still see that? Let's see. And so 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18 plus the 3 cakes. So yes, 21 cards. You can make 21 cards from the kit if you do it the way that I've done it, if you use my alternatives. So I hope you like them. Please tell me which one is your favorite in the comments, because I would love to know that. And thanks so much for watching. I think I've shown you everything that I use to make the cards. I don't think I showed you all my extra supplies, so we're good there. But again, thanks for watching. I really appreciate so much you watching every month, and I very, very much appreciate your comments, your positive comments, and especially if you want to tell me, like I said, which one you like best, because I really would like to know that. I have my favorite, but I want to see what your favorites are. And please hang around my channel. I have lots of other cards. I have scrapbook pages, which I have ramped up since Stampin' Up is going to be adding a scrapbooking line. I'm very excited. That's very close to fruition. We're going to see some new product in September, so in just a couple of weeks. I also have home decor items, tips and techniques, beginner videos. So there's a lot there that I hope you find useful and that you enjoy. And I will see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Happy stamping.